Welcome to Order Militaris Radio TV. We're going to be talking about the MI5 on Lee James Rigby, murdered or assassinated by terrorists or MI5 op. Brother Access to the program.
Thank you, AJ, for having me on. This is a very curious affair, and there's media manipulation involved too. So most of our audience probably have never heard of Lee James Rigby. Who was he? How great of a man he was? Some background.
So he was a 25-year-old of the rank of drummer. He served in the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Regiment of Fusiliers. And he was a machine gunner, and when he was not on active duty in battle as a machine gunner, he was a drummer for the Fusiliers Royal Regiment Band. And he also he served in Cyprus, Germany, and Afghanistan. And after he got done in Afghanistan, he became a recruiter and also assisted with the duties in the Tower of London. He was married in 2007 and had a 2-year-old son, but he had separated from his wife. He then engaged to a new fiancée at the time of his death. And he was killed on, let's see here, give me the date. On the afternoon of May 22nd, 2013, he was killed by Michael Adebolojo and Michael Adebolali, who are also British citizens from Nigeria. They were born and raised Christian, and then all of a sudden decided to convert to Islam. And what is strange is I remember when this happened, I actually was watching the reporting of it live, and saw some of the video that the people who came up on Lee to try to help him was doing. It was posted on Twitter by when Tommy Robinson was not censored off of most of social media platforms. And it always struck me odd because the media always said he was in his uniform. But then when we were looking into doing a show on MI5, it now says he was wearing a hoodie in support of his charity that he helps for heroes for the British military veterans. He's wearing this hoodie for this charity. But I remember directly them saying he was in full military uniform coming back from the Tower of London off the train at 14:10 p.m. or 2:10 p.m. UK time.
I remember the same thing. All the reports said he was in full uniform. Matter of fact, after this alleged terrorist attack, the British Army even passed a law about wearing uniforms in public because of this case. Didn't they?
Yeah. So you could not be on duty or coming off of duty and wear your uniform because of what happened to Lee Rigby.
So why would the media all be putting out this lie? Why would the military now change its own regulations based on a case if he wasn't wearing his uniform?
Yeah.
It seems that the regulation change was made to cover the story. Now, let's look at the actual details of the attack. He arrives at the train station at 2:10. Right across the street is the barracks, but there is diagonally across at the intersection, there is a coffee house.
Yep.
So he's headed in the direction of the barracks, which is the way of the oncoming traffic, and he crosses the street. And before he gets in the coffee house, he's
Hit.
hit at what speed?
He was hit at about 30 to 40 miles per hour.
Face on. He
Mm-hmm.
saw that this car is coming at him face on. He didn't see that. He didn't avoid that. They
And
wouldn't have.
yeah, and before going live with this show, folks, I was looking directly at the road view, street view of this area, and there is no place on that on that Junction Street where four lane you got your oncoming traffic going two different ways, and you have oncoming traffic going another two ways. And only one possible place you could go for getting up to about that speed was if you parked in the parking lot of the school, which is also a gated area to protect the kids. Now, why would you park there? Wouldn't the parents coming to get their kids be like, that's not a car that should be there?
Yeah. So they weren't parked. They were just coming down the road. They hit Lee James Rigby head on. They knocked him out, and then they attack him with
Knives and cleavers try to behead the guy.
So they killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any evidence of a struggle, or they just like knocked him cold with a car?
Use the car to knock him out and then go at him with the knives and cleavers.
Now, what I find strange about this is this looks like an attack of opportunity. Now, if he was wearing a uniform and they intended to kill a soldier, then it all makes sense because they'd say, aha, ahead, there's a soldier, let's run him over and kill him. But it turns out he wasn't wearing his uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And the body's on the road. He's just been murdered. A bystander comes by and makes a video, and the attackers say, the reason why we killed this man is because he's a soldier and he's killed Muslims in the Mideast.
Yeah.
Well, how would they know he's a soldier? And how would they know that this soldier has killed Muslims in the Mideast?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make sense.
Mm-mm.
The train just arrived 10 minutes before. That intersection would be full of people on foot in all different directions. Military guys in uniform too, not out of uniform like this guy. Why go after this guy?
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the attackers had on him a 90-year-old Dutch pistol from the First World War.
Yeah.
What's he doing with that gun, and why would he even carry it if it doesn't work? It was a non-functional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and these people weren't stupid. Both these attackers, born in, I think, in the United Kingdom of Nigerian descent, both had been to university.
Mm-hmm.
So one had studied sociology. It doesn't add up. But what doesn't add up is how did all the media lie and say he was in the uniform when he's not in the uniform?
Yeah.
And how did the military then pass a law based on the lie to confirm the lie?
Mm-hmm. Then
The impression, I guess, and this, yeah, what other facts do we have that's strange about this?
that one of the attackers left the UK for what was it, Kenya? And he used
Kenya.
a passport with a fake name on it. And yet these two attackers were known to the let's see here. They were known to the British Security Services, which is MI5.
Okay, so one of the attackers goes to Kenya with a British passport and makes it through Kenyan customs, where they would have checked his passport to see that it verifies. There's only one way he could get a passport with a fake name if he's known to MI5. They gave him the passport. He's an MI5 agent. That would also explain why he has a pistol that doesn't work. That would also explain how they would know that Lee Rigby James is arriving at that station at 2:10, because buying a ticket would have made his personal information known to the government. Two blacks who became Muslims wouldn't have known that unless they had that information. It is impossible to target someone who's, if you're out there to kill a military guy, you don't run over someone who's dressed in lay clothes. You would have wasted your day. The whole intersection's full of people dressed in military uniform. You hit one of them. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But so this is my impression here. My impression here is that this was not an act of terrorism. This was an assassination planned by MI5 against a member of the British military for the purposes of creating terror, making people think that the war on terror was necessary, getting maximum possible headlines. They chose someone who was good looking, had a stellar reputation, was punctilious in his uniform. You don't get to serve in the Tower of London unless you are like absolute perfect discipline, order, cleanliness, everything. And then control the entire media reaction so that it doesn't get out he wasn't in uniform. They were probably thinking he was going to arrive in, he's not in uniform, because if it came out at the moment of his attack in the press that he wasn't in uniform, everyone would have said is, how did they know to kill him? So he wasn't in uniform, so we must ask today, how did they know to kill him? And how did they know he was a military guy? Because they hit him with a car and knocked him unconscious, so they weren't talking to him. There was no way they could have been certain they killed a military guy unless they were told beforehand to target him. And there's no evidence that these guys knew him, Rigby, in any way. So this looks like a false flag event. And if I had to gamble, I would say MI5, you are murderers. Yeah. And you are hiding this from the British public. Just like you have hidden from the British public that the Nazi state that firebombed all the British cities during the Second World War was supplied, funded, and armed by Masonic banks in New York City. And you kept this quiet because Britain wants to be allies with the United States when they should really be allies with their own people and say who's really guilty for the firebombings of London, Birmingham, Coventry, for the deaths of those tens of thousands of people. And you've covered that up, covering up the death or actually planning and plotting the assassination of Rigby James is only a minor crime in comparison. So I thank you, AJ, for bringing this little bit of information up. I hope we do the memory of drummer Rigby, and hopefully a new investigation opens up. If there's any liberty and freedom of investigation left in Great Britain.
Yeah. And that his memorial plaques and stuff is restored because they are still fighting about that.
Well, the government doesn't like the fact that his death is memorialized.
Yeah, and that they're too concerned that it might cause more attacks.
Such hypocrisy. Such absolute hypocrisy. Yeah. Thank you for having me on, AJ.
Yep. This is Order Militaris Radio TV signing off. Deus Volt.
Deus Volt.